Howdy, guys, and welcome to a recap of episode 3 of Survivor Season 42. And welcome to Cliff Notes from a long way away from that island. Man, this is the kind of episode that I wait for every season. So much going on, so much strategy coming into play, a little bit head scratching, trying to keep up with what's going on. I love this episode. So with that in mind, let's get right into it because there is a lot to talk about tonight. So first of all, as a little bit of a refresher, last week we lost Mariah, and the orange team Taka is down to 4 members. Man, it doesn't take long at all before you are down to bare bones. 4 members, not that far away from 3, and before you know it, we're going to have some tribe merges occurring and things like that. So yeah, we've got 1 tribe all the way down to 4. See what happens this evening. Well, the first thing we find out after we get a little recap for last week, we find out that Marianne has told her tribe about her extra vote, which she didn't use last week. I didn't think that she used it in the vote, but it turns out she did not use her extra vote. But she has told everyone that she risked her vote when she went over to the island, that she has the extra vote. And I sitting there when she did that thinking, is it smart to give that information out or not? I always talk about information is golden. You hold everything close to the vest until it works to your advantage. Was it smart to do it now? Perhaps. Kind of a double-edged sword. On the one hand, from a short-term standpoint, I think it makes Marianne look more valuable as a tribe member. She's talking about the fact that, hey, when we do merge, which may not be too far from now, I've got an extra vote, which is going to help protect all of us. So guys, we're in this together. So by telling them, it certainly makes her look more valuable as a tribe member, and immediately after the merge itself. It also makes it a little bit tougher, makes it look a little bit tougher to send her home before a merge occurs. If they know that she's casting 2 votes, she's got that much more power in that particular tribe. So yeah, all in all, I think it makes sense that she went ahead and told everyone that she had that vote. Now, the problem is, can she trust her tribe enough after the merge occurs that someone isn't going to flip on her, isn't going to reveal that information to whoever else is on that person's new tribe or other people they develop relationships with. And next thing you know, you've got some people potentially trying to send Marianne out the door because she has that extra vote, because she has the extra power. That's the risk that Marianne ran by giving out that information. But I think once you get to a merge with these shared immunity idols and everything else going on, I think there's going to be enough other people with extra powers and such that I think Marianne will be okay. So on this one, I give her a little bit of a thumbs up, saying, yeah, I understand. I think why she revealed that information. I'm probably okay with that. So now we've got the entire tribe working together, which you don't often see, but the entire tribe theoretically working together to find an idol, with the idea that if any of us find an idol, we'll use it to protect each other against everyone from the other tribes. So let's just stay together as a unit. It's nice to have people saying that we're together and not backstabbing each other yet. Whether that actually comes into play, happens a little further down the road, we'll find out. But Marianne's wealth of riches continue on because she's now found her tribe's version of the 3-way immunity idol. Remember, Mike had already found his. Now Marianne has found hers as well. Of course, she opens it up, takes a risk, and learns that, yes, she potentially has the power. Remember, this is the one that once all 3 of the shared immunity idols are discovered, everyone mentions the phrase when they get together for a competition, that the power then comes into play. If all 3 of them exist, you get an extra vote. If 2 of them exist, you can steal someone else's vote. And if only 1 of them exists, then you get the full immunity idol. I think that's the way it works. So Marianne has discovered the second of these 3 idols, but she's lost her vote until that third one's identified. That's a risk that comes along with it. Now, we find out, remember Mike's phrase that he has to say at competitions is something about soccer's a glorious sport. I cry over it or something. It's all right. Marianne's a little bit more unique. Marianne's phrase is she has to mention that it's another classic case of a bunny rabbit having dinner in the mailbox. How do you spin that one? All right. Do you know what you call a bunny in a mailbox? Hair mail. dun, 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 dun. I'm done. I just dropped the mic right there. I had to throw that in there, guys. But she does have the phrase that she has to mention the next competition. Oh, she doesn't have to, but in order for the power to be released, we need each of these three to release or to make their mention. All right. With that being said, as I mentioned, Mike on the Green Tribe Vati has already found his shared idol. So we've got two of the three that have been discovered. Now, speaking of Vadi, Daniel does a pretty good job of giving us the team dynamics for this particular tribe. Now, remember, Vadi has never been to tribal council, so we haven't seen as much of the inner workings of relationships as we have with the other two tribes. So Daniel kind of spells it out for us. Thank you, Daniel. Thank you, editors, producers of Survivor. But we do find out this, that Mike and Jenny are a duo, a strong duo. Mike and Jenny are a duo. Hai and Lydia are a duo as well. And somewhere in the middle is Daniel and Chanel. So you got a strong group of two here. You got a strong group of two here. Daniel and Chanel somewhere in the middle decide, are they floaters? I don't know. Kind of figure out where they want to land in this particular team dynamic. So that's what we've got. 2-3 duos playing the game for the Vadi tribe. And Daniel found out, Mike told Daniel and Jenny that he had found the shared immunity idol. And he read the instructions. He didn't just tell them, he actually showed them the instructions. And Daniel, being the law clerk, the attorney that he is, he has to read through the forms again. And he asked Mike for the forms, and he discovers a little interesting addendum, I guess we can say here, that if all three idols aren't found by the merge point, that at that point, all three of the idols, or two of the idols, I guess, if all three have not been found, whatever ones have been found, gain full immunity idol power at that point in time. That's a big difference, or a big deal, because there was talk last week from Jenny and Daniel about potentially booting Mike out just to get rid of that idol and making sure that the others didn't come into play and all of that. Well, it's not going to matter now, because Daniel's realizing that if they boot Mike out the door, then now the other two tribes potentially will both have full immunity idols, and his particular tribe won't have any protection for any of the members of the tribe. So it's forcing a reevaluation from Daniel's standpoint. So probably a good thing that he looked at the paperwork again and read the fine print, not that fine a print, but read the print of the rules of this particular immunity idol. Now, the scary part, Daniel does a good job about finding small details. Not so good a job about keeping up with small items, or any other items for that matter, because we get to see a little bit of a tease where it looks like he has lost the idol and the messaging, both that Mike had given him. He can't find it. Mike's about to have a heart attack. Me too. If I give first of all, I'm not giving anyone that information unless I'm standing right over the top of them and controlling it the whole time. But Mike trusted Daniel a little bit more, almost paid the price. Unfortunately, Daniel found the idol just laying on the ground where he read it. And then Mike says, oh, I need the message as well, the instructions. So Daniel reaches right into his underwear, pulls out the instructions, which he apparently had hidden in one of the more private sections of someone's underwear. And I think at that point, if I'm Mike, I probably just would say, you know what, keep the instructions. But he held on to them. So he did get the idol and the instructions back. But yeah, it certainly has forced Daniel to kind of change his approach now that he knows exactly how this particular shared immunity idol works. So we get to the challenge itself. Only one challenge, only one competition this week. And it is a reward challenge and an immunity challenge all built into one. The other tribes learned that Mariah was lost last week. We hear Marianne give her phrase about the bunny, and she spins a whole story around it. And you can see everyone just looking and saying, what is going on with Marianne? So she tells a story about a bunny in a mailbox. Mike, a little interesting strategy. Mike realizes that the third tribe doesn't give out a phrase. So he knows that the power is still not active. So at that point in time, he doesn't read out his statement either. He just lets it sit. No harm, no foul. Now, Marianne, when she got her piece of paper, sure, I know it had to list the other phrases that were heard. So did Marianne or anyone else on her tribe remember the talk that Mike gave last week about soccer being the glorious sport and all of that? If so, then they'll know that that tribe also discovered the immunity idol. We didn't see mention of it, so they may not remember, but it'd be interesting to see if Mike keeps that up and doesn't mention it in the hopes that he can get all the way to the merge and have then a full power immunity idol. It's a little risky because you don't have a vote until that happens, but at least for now, that's what his plan is. So the competition itself, again, it's for reward, and it's to see who goes to tribal. The reward, whoever finishes first gets a big fruit basket and a bunch of tools for back at camp. Second place gets a smaller basket of fruit, smaller group of tools. Third place team, they don't get anything except a trip to the tribal council. So the competition itself, they have to dive off a diving platform into the water, grab a ladder that's tied off underwater, untie all the knots, lift the ladder up to the surface, race more towards shore until there's a high platform, a ramp. They have to hold a ladder up, and one person has to crawl up the ladder, retrieve a bunch of sandbags that are hanging from a hook. At that point, they drag the ladder up on the shore, and they have to then, maybe they have to retrieve sand. I don't know. Anyway, they then have to retrieve the sandbags on the shore. From that point, they have to throw the sandbags up, land them on a bunch of little platforms. First one to do it wins immunity. Piece of cake, right? No, not so much. Not so much this particular episode. There's been hard challenges. There's been challenges where we see people absolutely winded at the end, wondering if they're gonna, they're just looking bad. And we've seen some people like Beast Mode and others who had to get evacs because they were so hurt medically and all that from some of these challenges. This was one of those. This was a tough one. Rough water at the start. They can barely stand on the platforms, the dive platforms. They jump into water. Now, I will say this. Jonathan and Taku tribe, once again, this is just a strong tribe, and it's primarily completely due to Jonathan. Not sure, because Jonathan takes over so much. I'm not sure how well the rest of the tribe can actually do or not, because once again, Jonathan absolutely dominates. He's first in the water. He's swimming. He's going back. He's grabbing other castmates from his tribe, dragging them through the water. He goes down. He recovers the ladder all by himself. He starts going to shore with it. He drops the ladder, goes back again, gets his tribe mates, drags them up to the shore. And then at the very end, he's basically the one who lands, it looks like, all of the bags onto the ramp. It really won it running away. The Jonathan's tribe, they're only down to 4, so it's probably a good thing. But he manages to win the competition, so they are safe. They have immunity this week. And now they just get to sit back and watch the other 2 tribes flounder a little bit, flounder a lot, in fact. The currents are so strong. They're really having a hard time undoing the ladders. Once they get the ladders undone, the current is pushing them along the shoreline, so they're a long way from the poles that they need to get to for the sandbags and such. And you can tell they're getting exhausted, and they're starting to snip at each other and not doing well at all. And it gets to the point that finally Jeff Probst shuts it all down. Says, "Yeah, well, we're done. Y'all come on in." I think he said for the first time in Survivor history, he suspends the competition, has them bring the ladders up on shore, and says, "Look, we're going to start over again right here. Y'all are going to start off tied. You got your ladders. Go get your sandbags. Do the land them on the different levels, because we're not doing the water anymore." And I kind of don't blame Jeff. I mean, I'm one of these that I don't ever want to quit a competition. I want to give it everything I've got. I think they were giving everything they got, and I think it became a medical concern whether they could even make this happen before someone got a little too much water down the lungs. It looked rough. So props to Survivor for making it as tough as possible, but being realistic and changing things up when they need to. End of the day, we get the final competition. They're competing against each other, and with the final throw of a sandbag by Drea, the blue team, Ika, has won the competition, which means that we got Vita going to tribal for the first time. Group of 6, tribe of 6. We're going to find out where those loyalties really lie at this point in time. This is going to make a little excitement. You never know until you get to that first tribal who really is blowing smoke, who really has your back. We're going to find out tonight. So I was excited to finally see this tribe have to go to tribal council. But before that happens, we find out that before Vadi goes to tribal council, that Taku, being the winning tribe, has to pick a person from the losing tribe, Vadi, to send on a journey. We know they're going to the island just like they've done last season and earlier, episode 1 of this season. They pick Chanel to go to the island, but they also have to pick someone either from their tribe or from the other tribe to go on the journey also. And Omar pretty quickly volunteers to go. Now, that's all right with Omar. They're not going to tribal. So from Omar's standpoint, they can plot and conspire back at camp, and it's not really going to affect him. And so I get why Omar volunteers to go. So we've got Omar and Chanel going to the island together. And sure enough, just like we've seen a few times before, they have to hike up to the peak of this very tall hill. And at that point, then they have to either decide whether they're going to risk their vote or protect their vote. Just real quick, because there may be some people who don't remember how it works. If both people choose independently, they don't know how the other's going to decide. If they both decide to protect their vote, then nothing happens. You don't gain a vote. You don't lose a vote. If they both decide to risk their vote, if both of them do that, they both lose their vote. And if one decides to protect their vote, the other one decides to risk their vote, the person who protects their vote, nothing happens to them. The person who risked their vote gains an extra vote. They call it the Spanish prisoner dilemma. Fairly common game theory, logic type puzzle, and all that. But yeah, so that's where you're at. Do you risk your vote or do you protect your vote? Now, from Omar's standpoint, not quite as dangerous because they're not going to tribal this week. So you don't feel that threat breathing down your neck like Chanel probably is feeling. So we hear some talk from her saying, look, I can't risk my vote at this point. My vote's too important. There's 6 of us voting, and I may be the decider, so I've got to protect my vote. And I get that completely. The other thing Chanel's got to worry about, how dangerous is it for Chanel that tribe is going to tribal council this evening, and she's off on her own on an island. So everyone else has a chance to discuss and plot and plan without her. And she's got to be a little bit worried that they're going to be suspicious of what power she gets while she's on this island and use that maybe as ammunition against her. So I would, if I'm Chanel, I'm really feeling under the gun at this point in time, especially because remember, Jenny is on that tribe, and Jenny already went to the island. She chose to protect her vote. She didn't want to take any chance with it, but she knows what Chanel's going to face. She knows that that Chanel may get an extra vote, or she may come back just the same, or she may lose her vote. So it's not as though Chanel can hide this information from the rest of the tribe, or at least not from Jenny. So very interesting dynamics going on here. Now, while this is going on, we get a, let's talk about that. I don't want to go too fast with it. We get a plan back at camp while this discussion is going on between Omar and Chanel. Again, they have to decide independently, but they're saying they want to vote together. Will they? We'll see. But while this is going on, we see Mike and Jenny back at camp talking with each other and say, look, we're sticking together. We're the duo Daniel talked about earlier. Let's vote out Lydia. Lydia's the obvious choice. Let's send Lydia out the door. She's got to go. And they're set on that decision. But we also see Lydia and Hai that have a different plan. Lydia and Hai, the other duo on that tribe, are planning to vote out Jenny. It's funny how not everyone agrees when you're under the gun on these tribes, right? Which means because of those plans by these two different duos, that really Chanel and Daniel are going to be the swing votes this week. And if Chanel risks and loses her vote, it's all on Daniel. Daniel really is the deciding vote at that particular time. But we see Daniel coming back to Mike and Jenny and telling them that, hey, I'm on board with you. I want to vote Lydia out. I'm really that's the way I want to go with that. But Mike can't vote. He's got that shared immunity idol that hadn't been played yet or utilized, so he can't vote. So if Daniel votes with Jenny, that's 2 votes against Lydia. If Lydia and Hai vote against Jenny, then it's 2 votes against her. So it's a 2-2 vote, and it's all on Chanel. Yeah, so we don't know yet how this is going to work. So back on this island, Omar and Chanel saying they want to work together. They want to figure out how they can benefit both of each other and not crater either one of their games. And so that's the plan. But here's the deal. Are they going to end up outthinking each other when it actually comes to whether you risk or protect your vote? Omar realizes Chanel told him, said, look, I can't risk my vote. It's too important. We're going to tribal council. I can't risk it. So, of course, Omar, hearing that, when it comes, push comes to shove, Omar says, well, if she's not risking her vote and I risk mine, I get the extra vote. So, of course, I'm going to do it. So, Omar risked his vote. When it comes to Chanel, she's got to decide whether she's going to protect or risk her vote. She chooses to risk it. So, as a result, since they both risk their vote, they both lose their next vote at tribal council. Omar, I get. He felt like logically it was something that Chanel had to protect her vote. I probably would have done the same thing. From Chanel's standpoint, I don't get it as much. She spent too much time, and maybe a little bit of it was the edit, but it seems like Chanel spent a little too much time telling Omar how important it was to protect her vote. Well, once you've told the other person that, it seems logical to assume that no matter what they may tell you, there's a good chance they're going to risk their vote if they think they know which way you're going. Well, she didn't take that into consideration. She took the chance anyway, and they both have paid the price now because neither one of them gets a vote for their next tribal council. I don't think that was probably the best move for Chanel. So with all that being said, now we got kind of the groundwork of who gets to vote and who doesn't get to vote. And here's the deal. Potentially Daniel and Jenny vote out Lydia. Lydia and Hai vote out Jenny. Mike and Chanel don't vote, so we've got a 2-2 tie. At that point, you have a revote, which means, and Lydia and Jenny don't vote in a revote, which means you only have Hai and Daniel revoting. If it stays the same after that, Jenny and Lydia are safe, and everyone else draws rocks. That's a pretty risky point to get to in the game. Will Daniel realize at that point that Chanel must not have voted? Yes, he'll figure that out if we get to that scenario. And at that point, is he going to take a chance drawing rocks, or is he going to go ahead and flip on Jenny and send her out the door? That's kind of the scenario we're looking at right now. If things go the way we maybe are seeing predicted, but it might not matter because Daniel is now telling Lydia that he's with her and Hai. Yeah, this stuff, Mike and Jenny. I was just saying, I'm trying to play them, but no, I'm with you guys. I'm with you, Lydia. I'm with you, Hai. I'm with Chanel. The four of us against Mike and Jenny. Let's vote Jenny out. Now, that becomes a much more clean operation if you go from that direction. But it all just depends on who Daniel is really working with. He's playing both sides. I think the title of the episode tonight or some description was Line in the Sand. Definitely a line in the sand has to be drawn this evening. Daniel's loyalties are going to be revealed one way or the other, and we're going to find out. So we do have Chanel. She finally gets back from the island. She doesn't know if she's got an extra vote or has lost her vote, one or the other. She can't just protect it. She risks it. So she'll either be an extra vote or none at all. And she mentions that to Daniel, but she also tells Daniel that she really wants Lydia gone. That's where she wants to go, which Daniel's all on board with. That's already been the talk with Mike and Jenny as well. So it seems like they're more or less on board. But Daniel comes up with a plan out of concern that if Chanel doesn't have a vote this evening, he wants to make sure that he's safe, that his people are safe. So he wants to try to convince Hai and Lydia to split their votes between Mike and Jenny. And that way, if they've split their votes 1-1, then Jenny and Daniel can both vote out Lydia and make sure Lydia goes home and that Mike and Jenny are safe. So he thinks he's got it figured out. Let the con game begin. So we do have Hai telling Chanel that it needs to be 3 votes for Jenny, 1 vote for Mike, just in case Jenny has the idol. But that way they'll at least have 3 votes cast for Jenny. Send her out the door or send her off the island, I guess. But Chanel comes back. Remember, Chanel wants Lydia gone. Chanel comes back and says, no, we can't do 3-1. Let's do 2-2. The girls vote out Jenny. The guys vote out Mike. That way, no matter if either one of them has the idol, we still have 2 votes against the other to send them out the door. It makes sense as long as you can trust everyone else who's casting those votes. Hai doesn't seem, he mentions that Chanel's acting a little differently than she normally acts, so he's a little bit nervous. With good reason, Hai. We finally get to tribal, and it's a good one. We get Chanel telling everyone that she didn't risk her vote, that she had to protect her vote. Of course, she doesn't want anyone thinking that she might not have a vote this evening. She wants everyone to think that she has her main vote. she risked it, but she's not going to tell everyone that she did so. We've got Daniel explaining that he's just too paranoid to win, that he needs people. He gets so paranoid that he can't think straight, that he needs people just to tell him to chill out, to calm down. And at some point, I think Jeff says, well, who calms you down? And Daniel immediately mentions that, hey, Chanel and Mike, they both do a pretty good job of calming me down. He didn't mention Hai or Lydia when he talked about who calmed them down. Was that a mistake? I don't know. Hai certainly has given them an evil eye look about that. It seems like Daniel, in talking about Mike and I said Mike and Chanel, I think it may have been Mike and Jenny. I can't remember. But it seems like he was kind of declaring a little bit, just even in just a very lighthearted conversation with Jeff, if there is such a thing, that he may have given a little bit away at that point in time, because Hai certainly is looking a little suspicious at that point. At one point, we got Chanel looking back at Daniel saying, Lydia, and he's saying, yeah. But the thing is, did Hai see? Again, it could be all editing, but it certainly seems like Hai is doing this episode. Hai was very observant and picking up on a lot of signals, and giving him a little bit of a nervous feeling as a result. Well deserved. Good job, Hai. He correctly picked up on some of this. So we got that. Now, no shot in the dark's played. No idols played either one. Comes down to a vote, and it is a 2-2 tie. Yes, indeed, as not somewhat expected. We didn't know where the loyalties were going to fall, but we do end up having Mike not voting. Chanel's not voting. Jenny and Daniel vote to send Lydia home. Lydia and Hai vote to send Jenny home. It's a 2-2 tie. Daniel didn't flip. So it's a 2-2 tie. They have to do a revote at that point in time. But because Mike can't vote, because Chanel can't vote, at this point for the revote, it's only 2 people. It's only now the other Mike and Chanel go back and pretend like they're voting, because you don't want to reveal powers at that point in time, and advantages and lack of votes and all that. So all 4 go back there, but in reality, it's only 2 people voting, Daniel and Hai. And as it turns out, is Daniel going to flip his vote or not? No, he stays the same. At that point in time, it becomes a 1-1 tie, still against Lydia, still against Jenny. I thought at that point in time that you go to rocks, but now it's a little different, or one more step involved. Jeff explains at that point in time, says, look, it's still a tie. The 4 of you who weren't voted for, let's exclude Jenny and Lydia, the other 4 of y'all have to come together as a consensus and vote. If unanimously, y'all can decide to send either Lydia or Jenny out the door, then that happens. They're gone. Otherwise, the 4 of y'all are going to be drawing rocks. Well, Hai says, what happened to the extra votes? Probst at this point in time says, we don't normally reveal the powers, but it's been revealed now because there are only 2 votes cast. And so now everyone knows that Chanel didn't cast a vote, which means that she risked her vote, and everyone understands that now. And Mike didn't cast a vote. So I'm not sure if everyone knew about his shared immunity, but they're going to know now, because they know that something happened that he didn't got a vote. So it comes down to Hai and Daniel. They either find a unanimous decision, or the 4 of them are drawing rocks. Almost immediately, it's such a great tribal, such a great strategy going on. Daniel immediately more or less throws Chanel under the bus by saying, hey, Chanel wanted Lydia gone. Hai, I only voted that way because I was trying to work with Chanel, and it's just I was trying to work with her. So he's absolutely putting all the blame on Chanel. Now, Chanel did want Lydia gone. She did mention that to him as soon as she got back from her journey. So he's not lying when he says it, but he was as much involved in the decision to send Lydia out as anyone on that island. So he is certainly he's shifting a lot of the blame over to Chanel. She's trying to call him out on it, but he's staying true and resolved in his blaming it all on her. And several times he says, hey, who did you want out the door? Who did you want to send home, Chanel? And I don't think she ever said who it was, but he certainly is throwing her under the bus and trying to make it look like he's just the old follower along that just wanted to vote however everyone else was voting, and he didn't have anything personal against it. So that's his argument. Hai's argument is a whole lot more brief. Hai simply says this: I'm not changing my vote. If we have to go to rocks, then we're going to go to rocks, but I'm not changing my vote. That's it. A brilliant strategy. Whether you mean it or not, say it. See how the other person responds. If they say the same thing, well, then maybe you negotiate some more, whatever. But that didn't happen. Hai says that. Daniel immediately starts waffling a little bit, getting a little bit nervous. He's made it clear that he doesn't want to go to rocks. When you say that right off the bat, then the other person knows they could use that as a threat and really hold that against you. If Daniel, instead of saying, he said, let's start the very first premise, I don't want to go to rocks no matter what. Well, I think it would have been better if he had said, I don't want to go to rocks, but I'm willing to do it. I'm willing to take that 25% chance before turning on flipping or whatever. He doesn't do it. Hai does it. As a result, Hai has the stronger position, and it's only a matter of time. Now, here's the other deal, too. Hai and Lydia were very tight duo with each other. So I expect Hai to do everything possible to protect Lydia because he's protecting his own game as well. Daniel wasn't as tight. Mike was Jenny's main duo. So Daniel wasn't quite as tight with Jenny as Hai was with Lydia. So Daniel's not going to fight as hard for Jenny either. And that's exactly what happens. Eventually, Daniel says, look, Hai, are you going to hold it against me that I voted out Lydia? No, of course not. He asked Lydia the same thing. Are you going to hold it against me? No, of course I'm not going to hold it against you. Why would I hold it against you, Daniel? So he gets all of them. I think Mike, he says the same thing. So he gets Mike and Hai and Lydia all say, yeah, no, we're cool. We understand. Yeah, we'll see if that's truly the case. I don't think it's going to be, but they say it. And because of that, Daniel says, all right, well then I'm not going to rocks. So sorry, Jenny, nothing personal, but you're gone. So we lost Jenny. I just said last week, I was really excited about Jenny, that I thought she's going to have a long game life because they weren't showing her as much in the edits and all of that. She seemed like a great puzzle solver. I think the issue maybe was the fact that she seemed really tight with Mike, but maybe she didn't have quite the relationship with the others on the tribe that she needed to establish. We lost Jenny. It was a rough situation. A lot of things with the twist and such that led to it. In a normal tribal, I think she probably would have been okay. This wasn't a normal tribal council. And I love seeing it. It was a lot of fun. So Jenny is out the door. This tribe is now down to 5 people as well. And now Chanel's kind of the outcast. We'll see. It's going to be a fun night walking back to their beach. They're not the tight tribe that they were beforehand. After Daniel threw her under the bus and all that. But we'll see. Chanel kind of is the outcast. At least that's how Daniel really wants to portray it at this point in time. Everyone knows that Chanel lied and lost her vote as a result. Everyone's also going to know about Mike's shared idol. So there's a lot of secrets that were revealed. We'll see how people handle all of that. So again, a fantastic episode. I actually had to stop and think about a few of these a few times because it was tough keeping up with all the different plans and conversations and all, but fantastic. There was some good gameplay, some lesser gameplay, I think, a few times, but a lot of fun from start to finish. This is a Survivor that I love to watch. It was a blast watching this episode. Hope it's every bit as exciting again next week. So guys, y'all have a fantastic week. Enjoy episode 3. I will see y'all next Wednesday to talk about episode 4. I'm really curious to see the repercussions of everything that happened this evening. A lot of people that suddenly aren't going to be trusting others near as much as they were before, or not nearly as much as they've pledged and promised that they are at the tribal council. None of that's going to matter. It's all going to be different next week. There's going to be a lot of finger pointing going on, and I'm going to be there for it. Guys, y'all have a fantastic week. I will see y'all next Wednesday. Until then, cheers, my friend. SKD143. Bye.